Coco Gauff just stepped into one of the most elite clubs in tennis history. And listen, you won't believe how many people don't even realize what she just accomplished.
There's the stat that came out of American women in the Open era at Grand Slams. So those of them that played their first 100 matches at majors, Coco Gauff is right up there with a 75% win rate. So she's won at least 75 of her first 100 matches at slams. Only 4 players above her. Do you want to have a crack at naming them, Joel?
Surely the Williams sisters are in there.
Correct.
I wonder if Venus might be above Serena in that stat.
It's very close. I can tell you they're one win apart.
Okay.
It's actually Serena on 86 and Venus on 85.
Okay. Davenport, maybe?
She is on 75.
Okay.
So she won 75% of her first slam matches. Mary Jo Fernandez also on 75. So Coco Gauff, equals them. And Pam Shriver's on 76. But right up at the top was Chris Evert, 90. 90 of her first 100 slam matches. She won.
That is goat.
That's arriving, isn't it?
After her first round win at the Australian Open, the numbers came out and listen, her Grand Slam win rate now puts her in the same league as only 4 other players in the Open era, Chris Evert, the Williams sisters, and now Coco. This is seriously next level insane. Before we dive into all these stats, quick question for you. Do you think Coco Gauff is already on the path to becoming one of the all-time greats, or is it way too early to say? Drop your thoughts in the comments because these numbers are making people rethink everything they thought they knew. Coco Gauff just knocked out Kamila Rakimova 6-2, 6-3 in the first round of the Australian Open. On paper, a standard first-round win, nothing crazy about the score. But hold up, the post-match analysis revealed a stat that puts Coco's career into full perspective. Of all American women in the Open era through their first 100 Grand Slam matches, Coco Gauff has won 75. That's a 75% win rate at majors through her first century of matches. Only 4 other American women in history have done better at that same milestone. Want to guess who they are? Chris Evert sits at the very top with 90 wins out of her first 100 Grand Slam matches. That's insane, winning 9 out of every 10 matches at the biggest tournaments to start your career. But that's Chris Evert, so it tracks. Below her, you've got Serena Williams with 86 wins, Venus Williams with 85, and Pam Shriver with 76. Tied with Coco at 75 are Lindsay Davenport and Mary Jo Fernandez. That's the full list. 7 American women in the Open era winning at least 75% of their first 100 Grand Slam matches. So when critics say Coco is overhyped or not living up to expectations, these numbers tell a completely different story. She's literally tracking at the same pace as some of the greatest American players ever through 100 matches. And here's the scary part for the rest of the women's tour. Coco is just 20 years old. She reached this milestone faster than almost anyone on that list. She's one of only 4 players aged 21 or younger since 2000 to win 75 or more Grand Slam matches, the other 3 being Venus Williams, Serena Williams, and Maria Sharapova. Those are the names she's already in the company of when you check the historical stats. And yet somehow the narrative still lingers that Coco hasn't done enough, isn't dominant enough, or needs to prove more about her first-round match. Because while the final score looks smooth, the match itself was messier than the numbers suggest. Coco struggled early, especially with her serve, racking up 6 double faults in the first set and a second serve win rate of just 27%. 5 of the first 7 games went to deuce, which means Coco was grinding out points instead of cruising through. But here's the thing that separates good players from great ones. She won 3 of those 5 deuce games. When the pressure was on and the score was tight, Coco found a way to close out games. That's not luck, that's pure mental toughness and experience. After the match, she addressed her serving struggles head-on, saying it was just first-set jitters and that the sun was messing with both players on that side of the court. Once she got through the first game with 3 double faults, everything smoothed out, and she was right. Only 1 double fault in the second set. That level of self-awareness and in-match adjustment is exactly what elite players do. They recognize problems, correct them, and execute. Coco did exactly that, which led to a straight sets win and improved her first-round Grand Slam record to 23-4. Let that sink in. 27 first-round matches at majors, 23 wins, 4 losses, an 85% win rate specifically in opening rounds, where upsets happen and young players often stumble. But Coco? She doesn't stumble. In fact, she's now won 22 consecutive Grand Slam matches against opponents ranked outside the top 50.
Her last loss to a lower-ranked player at a major was to Sofia Kenin at Wimbledon 3 years ago, when Kenin was ranked 128th. Since then, 22 straight wins. If you widen the scope a bit, Coco is 35-1 against players outside the top 50 at Grand Slams since back-to-back early exits to Sloane Stephens in the 2021 US Open and Wang Chang at the 2022 Australian Open. So if you're a lower-ranked player hoping to upset Coco in the early rounds, the historical data says good luck. You're gonna need it, because she doesn't lose to the players she's supposed to beat anymore. This is a huge development in her game that doesn't get enough attention. Early in her career, Coco tended to lose matches she should have won, random early round exits to players well below her skill level. That was a valid criticism, something she had to fix to reach her potential, and she fixed it completely. The numbers prove it. She's now one of the most reliable players on tour against lower-ranked opponents. That's not a small thing. That's the difference between being a talented player who underachieves and a champion who consistently performs. With this win, Coco also became the youngest player to reach 250 career WTA match wins since Caroline Wozniacki in 2011. Again, elite company. Wozniacki was a former world #1 and a Grand Slam champion. Coco hitting the same milestones at the same age suggests she's on a similar, if not better, trajectory. But here's the interesting part. After her win, Coco was asked what she focuses on to prepare for a first-round match. Her answer was revealing. She's lost a couple of first-rounders before, but she's always bounced back. She tries not to put too much pressure on herself in round 1 because at this point, her focus is on winning the tournament. Think about that mindset. Focused, composed, and already thinking about the bigger picture. She's not satisfied with just moving on to the next round. Coco isn't popping champagne over a first-round win like it's some huge accomplishment. She treats it as the baseline, a step closer to the only thing that truly matters, winning the title. When the interviewer pressed her on why she called her satisfaction level just okay, Coco doubled down. She made it clear, the only satisfying result is winning the tournament. Everything else is just progress toward that goal. Sure, she can be proud of herself along the way, but she won't be truly satisfied unless she lifts the trophy. That's champion mentality. That's the mindset of someone who expects to win Grand Slams, not someone hoping to make a decent run. And it's a massive shift from where Coco was just 2 years ago, when reaching the semifinals felt like a major achievement. Now, semifinals aren't enough. Quarterfinals definitely aren't enough. Coco operates with the expectation that she should be competing for titles at every major she enters. And looking at her track record and the company she keeps statistically, that's not arrogance, it's reality. Her best result at the Australian Open was the semifinals in 2024.
Last year, she fell to Paula Badosa in the quarterfinals, so she hasn't won this tournament yet, and the path forward won't be easy. But the fact that she's already thinking in terms of winning and only winning shows exactly where her head is at. Coco isn't here to rack up solid runs or impressive stats. She's here to win championships. And when you check the historical comparisons, Chris Evert, Serena Williams, Venus Williams, these are players who won multiple Grand Slams and dominated their eras. That's the standard Coco is measuring herself against. The comparison to the Williams sisters is especially on point because Coco's game blends elements of both: Venus's athleticism and movement, Serena's power and mental toughness. She's also developed a level of consistency that both sisters had to grow into over time. But here's the scary part. Coco is doing all this at just 20 years old. Serena didn't win her first Grand Slam until she was 17 at the 1999 US Open, but her dominance didn't really hit until her early 20s. Venus won Wimbledon at 20 in 2000, so Coco is actually on a similar timeline to where Venus was. And let's not forget, Coco already won the US Open in 2023 at just 19. If she wins the Australian Open this year at 20, she's on pace with or even ahead of where the Williams sisters were at the same age. That's not a comparison made lightly. It's based on actual results, actual timelines. And the stat putting her in the top 5 American women for win rate through 100 Grand Slam matches is especially striking because it accounts for era differences. Chris Evert faced a completely different competitive landscape, and the Williams sisters dominated theirs while navigating their own challenges. Coco is doing all of this in the modern era, where competition is deeper and the tour is way more stacked than ever. The fact that she's maintaining a 75% win rate through her first 100 Grand Slam matches, despite the increased parity, is straight up remarkable. It actually makes you realize that her accomplishments might be even more impressive compared to some of the legends ahead of her on that list. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: Coco's serving struggles in this match. 6 double faults in the first set, a 27% second serve win rate. Those are numbers that would make any coach nervous. Against a higher-ranked opponent, that could have cost her dearly. But against Kamila Rakimova, ranked 93rd, Coco had enough cushion to work through it without breaking a sweat. That's another sign of how far she's come in her development. She can have an off day on serve and still win comfortably because the rest of her game is elite. Her return game, movement, and court coverage allow her to cover for weaknesses in other areas. That's what complete players do. That said, serving is still an area where Coco needs work. It's been inconsistent throughout her career, and in tight matches versus top 10 players, those double faults can be brutal. The good news? She knows it and is actively working on it. The second set showed she can adjust mid-match, which is elite-level awareness. Next up, she faces Olga Danilovic, who just knocked out Venus Williams. That's a tougher test than Rakimova, but someone Coco should beat if she plays her game. And considering her 22-match winning streak against players outside the top 50 at majors, betting against Coco in that matchup would be statistically reckless. The real challenge comes in the second week, facing top 10 opponents.
That's where Grand Slams are made or broken. Can she beat Sabalenka? Can she beat Swiatek? Can she handle being the favorite instead of the underdog? Those are the questions that will determine if this Australian Open is just another solid run or an actual title. But the foundation is rock solid. The stats back it up. The comparisons to all-time greats are justified, and Coco's mindset has shifted from hoping to compete to expecting to win. One final stat to put this all in perspective: Coco Gauff has already won 75 Grand Slam matches at just 20 years old. Some players never reach that number in their entire careers. She's done it before most players even hit their prime. Coco has officially joined Chris Evert in the Williams sisters in one of the most exclusive statistical clubs in tennis history. She's 20 years old, holding a 75% Grand Slam win rate, and she's not just competing, she's expecting to win titles. If you want more deep dive analysis on Coco's Australian Open run and whether she can actually take this thing all the way, smash that like button and subscribe for championship level tennis coverage.